You know the truth, and what you know will set you free. Freedom comes from what you know. There are many of us who are free, but we don't know it.
Oh, hey, hey, designers. I didn't know y'all was here. I'm just drinking some water, just water. I'm just sitting here drinking water. That's all. Thinking about our guests today that are the first African Americans in Kentucky to make bourbon since slavery. Yeah. Sean and Tia Edwards are the founders of Fresh Bourbon. So I'm so excited about them being on today. And we're going to have a great conversation. It's just not going to be about water. Well, hello, everybody. You already know who I have because I've already introduced them, and I am so thrilled to have what I call my family and friends, Tia and Sean Edwards. How y'all doing?
Oh, man, we appreciate it. We're good.
Awesome.
We're good.
Thank you for having us. We're excited.
So I want to start here with the obvious. You all are what has been slated in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, the first Black-owned bourbon distillery since slavery. So I just want to clarify for all of you who are watching, this is not a church conversation. So if you need to go ahead and get you a shot, do what you got to do, bring it out, because we're going to enjoy this conversation. So I wanted to start there because both of you all are church kids.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So I wanted to know, was the desire to get involved in the bourbon industry, was it inspired by communion at church?
That would be a negative.
No, not at all. That would be an interesting communion.
That would be very interesting.
I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, passing little cups, so y'all now passing cups too, So I didn't know if y'all looked at the deacons like, what, I want to do that. Y'all just do first Sunday. I want to continue this.
This could be a career right here. This could be a whole thing. Yeah, man. No, but honestly though, from our perspective, we were really from the ideal came from a lot of prayer and some frustration because we own some other businesses and being really frustrated in those other businesses and having some issues dealing with people. People are something to deal with sometimes.
I never thought that.
In business,
Yeah,
No, never. Especially as different businesses.
Yeah,
but
I've never
so
dealt with that.
Really, I prayed and asked God for a product. And I was blessed with the idea to do bourbon and coffee. And that came strictly from a prayer of me asking God, I want a product.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
I want a product.
Hold on. So what I said was true.
Yeah.
Because you said prayer.
It was
So when you were
prayer,
praying,
yeah.
God said, I turn water into wine.
Hey.
So why not?
So, here you go.
Yes.
Drop that on me. And that's why, from our standpoint, we have no problem where we are, as far as, us being in church and operating as Christians, and what we're doing because we know what we're going to do, as far as the opportunities, the goals, the jobs, everything, the education piece that is created from what we're doing. So we're excited about that. So we have no issue from that standpoint, but it did come out of a prayer and just asking God to help us because I was tired of dealing with people.
He talked to me and he said God gave him bourbon and coffee. Which one you think we should do?
Yeah.
Bourbon. Not a question.
So
over
he
here.
spoke to you too?
Sean asked me.
I
Sean
told her.
asked me,
Okay.
Yes.
Which one do you think we should do? He told me what he got in his dream, and I said, bourbon.
Yeah.
Yeah, without question.
Yeah, she was all about that one.
So I want to know, if you can say,
Yeah.
outside of yourselves, who was the first person or people that you shared the idea with?
So the first person we shared the idea with was a gentleman named Tim Niddle, and he's a consultant, a bourbon consultant. And I did a birthday party for Tia, and
He brought in Chub Rock.
Yeah, we did
Okay.
a whole
Okay.
concert thing. It was her, birthday party, and so they had did a class there for like bourbon stewards and classes, and he was running the classes for them. And so it just happened that way, and I was looking for somebody to help us or just to express the idea to. And I met him at North Lime Donuts on Clay's Mill, which is kind of interesting, their location on Clay's Mill. But we sit there and talked, and we had coffee, and I told him the idea, and he was like, man, we've been looking for you. And that was 2017.
Yeah.
That was 2017. He was
Yeah.
like, the industry has been failing at the whole issue of diversity and trying to get African Americans involved.
Yeah.
And he was like, we've been looking for you. So this is awesome. So we began that process. And then we started to put together a team, just of a lot of experts in the field that had more experience in it than we did.
Yes.
So that was a blessing in that too.
And we really have been blessed with people that have wanted to see us succeed and people with the knowledge that we needed to have to be successful. From the conversation on how to build our business, from the conversation of our master distiller, from the conversation of coming up with our own mash bill. I mean,
Yeah.
from A to Z, we have been really blessed with people that have been genuine in wanting to help us and equipped us what we needed to succeed.
And a lot of that was, just for, especially for the listener's sake, if, especially in the bourbon industry, a lot of how you go to market in the industry is basically you come up with a brand, you have a label, and you go to a big distillery and you say, hey, I want those 20 barrels. And then they bottle it, you put your label on it, and you call it that. That's you. And so because we're from Kentucky, you travel outside Kentucky, you tell people, hey, I'm from Kentucky, and we were very deliberate in our travels. We got married at, I don't want to say an older age, but we got married as a more mature, couple, in our 30s, so like we started off when we got married. I was, from a previous marriage, I was single, had 2 kids that lived with me. I was raising a son and daughter. And so Tia came in with no kids, instant family. So automatically she's instant mom.
I had to learn how to cook.
Yeah, all of that.
So
So
like,
you
it's
didn't
just
cook
instant.
prior?
I didn't cook a lot prior.
Yeah, she's an out to eat
I'm an
person.
out to eat type of
yeah,
person.
like
but,
every day if she could.
Yes.
Oh.
But immediately, you have 2 kids that are growing that need to eat. So
Okay, so let me ask you this. How did you learn to cook?
Well, I have a mother that is from Alabama, born and raised.
Okay.
I have aunts that are born and raised in Alabama, and I have a
Yeah.
father from Tennessee, both who cook a lot. So I just leaned on them for not recipes because they don't believe in measuring,
Yeah, of course.
just on cooking it to taste good and
Yeah.
seasoning to taste. And so I just leaned on them and we just did the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we all
I
gained
ask
weight,
because
so
there
I
are a
think
lot.
it was good.
I ask because there's a lot of people. This is called thinking out loud. So all of my LTs, my loud thinkers. Some people are like, "Well, I don't know how to cook," or, and we do have a group of people who particularly might be getting in a relationship or something, and they say, "I don't know how to do this," so they're gonna have to deal with what they have.
Yeah.
You took the different approach and said, because I don't know how to do it, I'm going to use the resources that are available to me and have that
Absolutely.
conversation. Maybe that's a more mature, you said
Yeah.
more mature age, but that was a deliberate decision that
It
you
was
made.
a deliberate decision, and it has to do too with my upbringing because my family sat down to eat dinner.
Yeah.
That is something that was important. That's a time when you learn about what happened in someone's day, or just learn about each other, or just anything. That was an important part of our daily activity, was to eat dinner together.
They
And
still
so-
do that in these days?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, we do.
I was
Yeah.
very deliberate when we
Yeah.
became one family to do that.
Yeah.
Especially because they were 12 and 14 when I came. So we had a lot to learn. So, and they were very busy with sports activities. I mean, I became a cooking mom, a cheer mom, a volleyball mom, a track mom, and a football mom, all at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you had no life.
Yeah, well, that became, but one thing that we did and that we still do is Saturdays are
Date nights.
date nights.
Yeah, we made it for sure. Like that
So,
was an automatic
no
Saturday
question.
date nights, and we traveled. That we made that once a year. We go for the past. We've been married 10 years now, so for the past every year we would take a trip, and make sure we take a week and just us, and no kids, and just make sure we
No
kind
kids at the
of
resort, no kids around.
yeah, none, yeah, like just
Just
make sure it's
adults.
us, and even here's the thing though, sometimes we've been on those trips where the first 2 days we just slept, like we didn't do nothing, like we literally are laid out at the beach, like getting a shade tan, we not
Ain't that
just
something though? Like with people who go and go and go and do
Yes.
and do, you don't realize how tired you are until you stop.
man.
And then when you stop, it's just like everything. It's just like now you will relax.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah,
that's
that's
why
right.
I've learned over the years when we go on family trips that I either need to preset myself before we go or whatever, because like you can't drive to Florida and then everybody wants to go somewhere
Oh, yeah.
immediately.
Oh, my
And I'm just
God.
like, y'all, I want to
Exhausted.
sleep. And then they used to have the joke, all he wants to do is go to sleep. I'm like, y'all,
Yeah.
I've been going,
I've
you
been
know,
rolling,
so I
yeah.
get it. I get
But
it.
but something you said too, the maturity, and I said because of age, but for people listening, and thinking like, okay, I need to learn something, or I need to learn how to cook, or I'm trying to develop a relationship, and I need those set of skills. Maturity, you know how it is. It's not so much age; it's just that time, or when you make that decision to be more mature, and the value in just being connected to people these days. You can find somebody in your family or in your social structure that has some skills that can help you.
But I think you bring up a point that I think is an underlying issue that people do kind of skate over, is that you said you had aunts,
Parents.
mom, parents, whatever. You talked about community. There are a lot of missing pieces of communication that
Yeah,
people are not
yeah,
having
yes.
anymore.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
same thing with you all being the first as far as black, as far as in the state of Kentucky, which is a bigger thing that we'll talk about in a minute, but that you all pulled on the resources and the connections and the relationship that you had so that you wouldn't fail or make a mistake that someone else has already made.
Exactly.
Versus a lot of people are like, my haters don't want me to do this and all this stuff, so I'm gonna do it on my own. Versus there is really more people that are for you, that want you to succeed, as you said earlier,
That's right.
than want you to fail. So whether that's for this generation and those who are listening or watching, that are, there's YouTube. We didn't have YouTube
No.
growing up.
Yeah,
You can
no.
YouTube cooks now. They
Everything.
have channels.
Everything.
Like you can do anything.
Yeah.
And it's like step by step stuff. And I think that sometimes people would rather have a relationship with people they don't know than build the relationships of people that they do know.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's like whatever makes you feel comfortable, because it's just like in that sense. If it's somebody that you don't know or you do know, just get outside the box. It's kind of like just see what everybody else is doing, go the opposite way. And so like if nobody's calling people and everybody's texting, just call somebody and ask them, hey, I need help here.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised at the people that want to really help you. Sure. And not focusing what some of the things that we get into, and this from your situation, especially when you're starting something. We got into a lot of orders. We did pre-sale. We got a lot of orders. We got a lot of people supporting us. Thousands. And then in that, you have 10 people that can't stand you. They don't like you. You ain't do nothing to them. You ain't even never met them. So like like they don't know you not to like you, but they don't like you. So but it's like you can get so caught up in those 10 people, and you forget about the thousands of people. And what you have to do is really break the other way. Like, forget that. Hey man, okay, unfollow me, unsubscribe, or do what you got to do. But I'm gonna concentrate on the thousands of people that are supporting me, or that are interested in what I'm doing. And so that's the thing. So it's like you got to go contrary to the narrative of everybody's talking about the haters, and you just can't spend so much time talking about them. You're giving them too much
You're giving
energy.
them a platform.
Yeah, you give them too
We
much
were
energy.
we were all at something back in the summer at someone who came from Lexington. Angel, that chick Angel, for those of you who are watching, and she was here for Comedy Off Broadway, and a lot of minorities, blacks, business owners, entrepreneurs, everybody was there. And there was someone had said something to me, we were talking, they said, doesn't it feel good to be around other people who are trying?
Yes. Yeah.
And I thought about that as you said, we're sometimes giving people this platform that they don't deserve. There are a lot of other people who are just like, we're just happy to see you doing something.
That's
Like
right. That's
when
right.
you do
Yeah.
something, it's like it's a one of us or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you all feel that when you're going into these different rooms or different meetings with people who look like you, are they looking at you just like, I'm glad somebody else is in the room?
Yeah, we have. I mean, we have that a lot, especially when you get into the larger companies, and you deal with people outside of Kentucky, because a lot of the larger companies, they have a lot of diversity operations that exist outside of Kentucky. And so when you see that and they see us come into the room, yeah, they're very supportive.
Yeah.
And, and like you said, it's just a good feeling, that people are really trying to, and it's not like we're doing something just, I don't want to say janky, but it's like we're really putting forth something that is quality.
Mm-hmm.
We present ourselves. We want to operate in a spirit of excellence. And that was coming back to what I was going to say about, us developing a mash bill as opposed to just picking bourbon and then slapping a label on it. We wanted to do something that was very authentically us and Kentucky and how we felt about putting together a total mash bill and a recipe for what we're producing.
Now explain for those of us who, we've only drank water all of our life. And, communion on first Sunday, just grape juice, Welch's. But for the rest of us, can you explain what the mash bill is, just not to insult the intelligence of those of us who drink water?
It's always a good conversation about the production of bourbon. 95% of the world's bourbon is produced in Kentucky, and mainly because Kentucky's water is naturally limestone filtered. And so we have very good water, which makes for good bourbon and strong horses. That's why horse racing is pivotal to the industry and other things, crops that we grow. But a mash bill is basically the recipe that you want to use in order to make the product. So you're going to cook these grains in a recipe to create a mash, and then you're going to ferment that and distill it into the bourbon. So in bourbon, 51% of that mash bill has to be corn.
Period.
And bourbon is America's native spirit. So like these other like tequila for Mexico,
Yes.
Bourbon is that for America. And so bourbon can be produced anywhere in America, but in the United States, it can be produced anywhere in the United States, but it's produced mainly in Kentucky because of our water.
Yeah.
And so the water, you mix it with the bourbon. And so we have a mash bill very unique to us. And we came up with our own recipe. It took us a lot of trial and error to do
The
that.
trial and error was fun.
No.
It was very
We have
enjoyable.
really good board meetings. It's very good board meetings. So it's a good trial and error experience. But we came up with our own mash bill. And that's the recipe we use to make our product. And it's very unique to the industry. Nobody else has the mash bill that we operate with right now. Honey malt is our second primary grain, which is, like I said, nobody has been doing that. People have used it in other mash bills, but not to the extent that we're using it. So.
And that's why our smell and our taste is very unique. Nothing like any other bourbon on the market. And there's hundreds of bourbons on the market. But when you nose our product, you definitely will, even if you did a blind tasting, even newcomers to bourbon would be able to tell it's fresh.
So is that where fresh came from? Because you led into it, so I was getting ready to ask, and you said that's why it's fresh. I was like, so is that where fresh? Because I'm like, where did fresh the name
So many
come from?
people are like, fresh? Nothing's
Yeah.
fresh in bourbon.
Yeah,
Why is the name fresh? Like,
That-
we get that all the time.
And that was funny at first, and like in 2017, 18, fresh, this, nothing, bourbon's old, why is it fresh? And now, today, like in 2021, we're like, people are like, oh man, I love the name fresh, man, fresh, everybody wants to be fresh,
If I hear
like.
fresh and clean one more time, I would
Ain't nobody
Yeah,
goes past
that's
me.
right,
out.
that's right. That is it. But no, it came from the experience. Like the bourbon trail, the bourbon industry is so heavily built on a male culture, and in particularly a white male culture, that when we would do tours, we would go out and about, we would travel around Kentucky. Bourbon is all about men. It's wood, whiskey, men, like
Yes.
sitting on the I don't know, in the campfire drinking whiskey or whatever. And we wanted to be contrary to that. And so like our flavor profile was built around Tia's palate. So we wanted to involve women more in what we're doing. So that's why Tia's Hand was very, not just strategically, but, because we do things together, it was very much involved in the process. From the bottle design, from some of the building design that we'll do.
I really do.
It's very, you can see a woman's hand in it. And so that makes for a whole different, it makes for a fresh approach to the industry. So that's where it came from. The name Fresh is about the approach. It's not about an age statement on the bourbon. It's about an approach to the industry.
An old industry.
Yeah.
So I want to know, were y'all doing a lot of tasting to get the right taste?
Yes.
So with a lot of tasting, was that a lot of slumbering of the speech? And
It was a lot of giggling.
I just want to this is the greatest tasting ever. Like
it was like awesome, but I mean, it was a lot of trial and error though. All jokes aside, like we couldn't do it all in one day. It was quite a few times that we had to
several
chase
times
to get what we wanted.
Who was the designated driver?
Me.
Okay.
Yeah, me. Yeah.
Because he's always he's a lightweight.
Yeah, I let them have most of the fun,
Okay.
and then I'll figure it out, on the back end. But yeah, I would be the driver because, unless we had to take an Uber or something.
Yeah. So you all said that this was not your first business.
No.
So did you see the entrepreneurial side or business ethics in family dynamics? Like, is that something that you grew up seeing, like family running business, or is it something that you grew into?
I think that really, I'm the corporate person. I have been corporate since I graduated from college. I'm like, go to work, I get my paycheck, I know where my insurance is, I know where everything's coming on time every 2 weeks. That's me. I marry a man that is a serial entrepreneur. He loves entrepreneurship.
Serial.
Yeah.
He does. He's done that. He's had ideas all his life. He's somebody that's truly blessed with having the ability to think of different businesses, not only for himself. He helps so many people in business and politics that he gives of himself free. So he's really blessed in that. So it's totally that direction.
Yeah, I think I've always wanted to work for myself. And I think, mainly because my family, I say, really blessed, but we didn't grow up like, we grew up different. So there were several entrepreneurs in my family and a lot of different fields of sales, in an early age.
I'm
So
sure.
I
got what you
I
meant.
learned a whole lot, at an early age, and just to be honest with you, just a lot of street stuff, and picking it up and learning what to take from it and what to not take from it. And, that just adds into who I am, just my whole family experience, my whole friends experience, just the way I was raised. But so, yeah, I've always wanted to, work for myself and operate like that. So much so, even when I was in high school, I probably would not have went to college because and I went to college because my parents pushed me that way and because they were like, you got good grades, you're smart. But I had a gentleman in high school who was a basketball booster. He had encouraged me. He told me I should work for him because he owned gas stations. And he was like, you come work for me and then I'll help you buy one. And hindsight's 2020, but I would have been happy doing that, and owning my own gas station and doing things like that coming out of high school. And they still own gas stations today, a lot of them, and so I've always wanted to do that, and I got into government and working for the city and running a nonprofit and things like that early, but because of the way they were set up, it was kind of like I was running the operation anyway. So then when I got laid off from the city, we just jumped in wholeheartedly to the entrepreneur aspect of it.
But we own the dry cleaners now.
Yeah.
You had to clean
20 years.
20 years and the
Construction company for 16 years, and like me and my brothers, we owned a club at one time when I was younger. We did a lot of parties,
That was before
production
my time.
companies.
I've never been to a club. Like, what happens
Yeah,
there?
yeah, no.
Like, I don't
It's a
know.
lot that goes on.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it was interesting. We've done parties and just a lot of different things.
So it's always been there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
always yeah.
So how has it been being the first at anything? Is both challenging, both inspiring. Because now people are looking to you as a template of sorts. That people
Yeah.
are like you. I'm a part of a first as well, with the Divine Nine. So I know what it's like
I
for,
too.
you too, a first fam, Alpha Kappa Alpha, Sorority Incorporated, Alpha Phi Alpha, there's a lot of first. So I'm enjoying this first season of the podcast, this first group of black bourbon, I've never, I've only had water, but I really appreciate it. But how has that felt for people to, because I look at it as an inspiring.
Yeah.
There's a weight that comes with it,
Yeah.
but for you to come into the room of, there's, younger people that are looking to you, that are saying that's the first that's ever done this, and to throw in, as it's been slated through the Commonwealth of Kentucky since slavery.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's the whole thought of that,
Yeah.
to me is like breathtaking. So how does that feel?
I think I'll let Sean talk after me, but for me, we didn't realize that we were actually making history when we did it.
Yeah.
We were just making a change in the old industry, trying to be more inviting to people that had not had a bourbon experience, to an old industry. And so once we realized that we made history, for me, that aha moment was when we were standing on the Senate floor in Frankfurt and being recognized and being applauded by all these senators in our state for what we were doing. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, we know what we're doing is a big deal, but I didn't realize how big of a deal it was until we were on the actual Senate floor and they voted to actually make a bill in our honor. So that was huge for me.
I think we're the same. I mean, that's the same for me. I think looking at it, it's kind of like what you said. You go into something and you realize that nobody in the state of Kentucky had made bourbon and was black that was not enslaved.
That's crazy.
Or that had made bourbon since slavery. Nobody had done that. That's crazy to think of anything that has not been done in hundreds of years in America. And so that was like a huge, piece of what we're trying to, the way we're trying to operate. So in knowing that and finding that out, it just gave us a heightened sense of excellence that we need to operate, and everything that we do needs to be at a level of excellence, in order to be respectful of that moment, to be respectful of this opportunity and this achievement. And so, it's just amazing, from that standpoint. And everybody has been supportive, even the whole bourbon industry. Like everybody in the bourbon industry, except 3 people, have been very supportive of us, and it's just the truth of the matter. Like they've been very open, ideal wise, supportive.
How can we help you?
How can we help you?
It's been amazing.
It's been really amazing experience. And it's just starting. That's a crazy thing about it. It's just starting from where we are. And with COVID kind of setting things back a little bit and us just, being able to take off. So we've been really encouraged by that and want to offer that up to other people, young people, even older people, anybody that looks at something and says, man, I wonder if I can do. Yeah, you can do. You ought to do.
I want to even stretch that even with first to see how does it feel as well, because I remember when I lived in Mississippi for about 9.5 years, and what an overwhelming experience as well, because everywhere you go, oftentimes it's black this, black that, everything. I remember Miles coming home, my youngest coming home from school one time, think he was in elementary school. Well, he had to be. And I remember him coming back singing like some gospel song that I knew was Kurt Franklin. I was like, where did you learn that? He said in chorus. I said, only in Mississippi.
Only
in
With Joey. Because and when I was in
That's
Kentucky,
amazing.
we never sang
Never.
any of that type of stuff. Songs
Amazing
had
Grace.
no soul.
Yeah.
And it was a version that had no soul.
Yeah, that's
So being in the state of Kentucky and being a black first in this, as well as in a bourbon industry that is dominated by people who don't look like you, or had been dominated by people who don't look like you, and going into meetings of people that don't look like you, how has that felt? I know you say the side of you got a lot of support. Was there ever a time where you were in the room just like, are we sure this is really what we want to do?
We haven't been, it's just like a thing. We know our moment, if it's our moment, it's our moment. I mean, we're supposed to be here, and we don't knock that, we don't knock the opportunity. We don't knock being blessed to have the opportunity to be in the room. So no, we've been there, and we're representative too. So like we come in with everything, that is us, including, that we're black, and that Tia, she's a woman, and we're proud of those things. And so, no, we it's like everything, black people add flavor to the whole United States of America. It's
I thought
seasoning,
you knew.
like so. No, we operate, and then to be honest with you, like the industry is very welcoming for that. I mean,
Yes,
they
it
want
is.
to see, difference. They know. How much the industry means to Kentucky. The thing about it is it's an $8 billion industry. Bourbon is an $8 billion industry. It's huge for Kentucky. I think that, we can underestimate, but from the scientists and the salespeople and the accounts and marketing, there's so much to the industry. And to add in us and to add in some diversity and take that 8 billion to 20 billion would be huge. And okay, why not be a part of that? They welcome that. They want to be a part of that. Everybody is for Kentucky. That's what we want Kentucky to grow and be known for that, and be known for a level of excellence that bourbon is really known for. Bourbon is known for a level of excellence. So us being able to walk in that is cool because we operate in that already.
Yeah.
I mean, we do. We
Yeah.
walk in that.
I remember in Mississippi, when I moved there, people said, are there black people in Kentucky? I said, yes, there are.
Yeah.
They said, where? I said, they exist. I promise
Yeah.
you that they do exist. I just think that that's an awesome thing that you all have not only, or will not only just be black history, but you will be Kentucky black history.
Yes.
Yeah.
That years from now, people will say, communion just got better. I remember I taught them in Sunday school, and I always knew they were going to give me a pour. I just knew.
You knew it.
I just knew. So as a couple, as people always coin the term power couple, and now black power couple, how has that been for you all to lead together, think together? Like you made, even though she gave way to you to say you're the thinker or the visionary or the dreamer, but yet you yelled back to her to say, yeah, but she designed the bottle and her hand was in this or whatever. How has that been, because as you said, this is not your first relationship, and she came in, and learned how to cook, all that type of stuff. Lots of different things where you all have come together on. How did that?
Yeah. I mean, we look at it as just an extension of who we are. I mean, we're blessed in that manner. And she was in a relationship. I was in a long-term relationship. So coming out of that and being single, and then, being very prayerful in that, we met at a gas station, like literally, like a gas station.
The one you owned.
No, I wish I
Okay.
should have owned it. Man, that's the thing, man. I could have
That would've
had
been
them
something.
gas stations. That would have been big.
Like, you
but-
want me to pump? I own this.
But I'm gonna tell you, it made it even more of a blessing, and a God experience, because I was not dressed. I was going to get a haircut. I was not looking great at all. I wasn't trying to put my best foot forward or nothing like that. We literally met. I was coming around the corner. We spoke at a gas station and had a 30-minute conversation. I mean, I think we had met before. We went to UK together.
But we didn't know each other.
We didn't know each other, and we met like that, and it was just I think it was a process of us being submissive in our relationship and who we are to Christ, and then developing that so everything else is an extension of that, of our foundation. And so, this is just another thing as far as us being in business and being able to talk and communicate those things. And I mean, we're not perfect at it. I don't know anybody that is, but we do our best to try to operate in that and have a level of communication, to conversate about, what's going on, what we're trying to do, and that's why when I had the idea, I brought it to her just to see what her thoughts were.
What did you think at the gas station that day? I had no what he said. He already had the whole map.
He did. I actually was on the way to Bible study, and I had 2 girls that I mentored that took Bible study with me. And I saw him. He came around the corner, and I just said hi, and we just talked for like 30 minutes. I missed prayer meeting, but I made the Bible study. But
he caught up in prayer though later on because
did.
bourbon came. So y'all may catch up with that.
Catch up.
Prayers are very important with y'all. We've established that.
It is. And,
Some of y'all, that's what's wrong with y'all. Y'all been drinking and not praying.
That's
but
right,
if
right.
drink would be better if you
That's
prayed.
right. That's right.
But that was very instrumental in our lives. Like we always say, we were on our own journey with God and trying to get closer to Christ. And in that, he saw fit to bring us together at that time. And so our relationship has just truly been blessed since the day that we met. Like we literally didn't exchange phone numbers.
Yeah.
And I got back in the car and the girls was like, Miss Tia, who was that? I was like, I have no idea. So I go to church and then we go about our daily lives, and he had a cousin he was talking about me to, and his cousin's wife was in the conversation. Good old
Madeline.
Sherry.
She's
Sherry
Madeline.
Coles, love her to death.
She's Madeline.
So she's like, oh, that's Tia.
I'm letting them talk.
Yeah.
Share if you're watching. I ain't said a word. Just let
Sure,
them
over there,
talk.
Madeline. I was talking. I was like, yeah, I met this girl. I know who that is. I was like, how you here on the phone call? You're all the way in our conversation.
But Sherry blessed
it was
us
a
though.
blessing. It
Yes.
was a blessing. She
So we
told us,
actually
yeah.
communicated on Facebook Messenger for like a few weeks before he even asked my phone number.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally was like typing it in words so I can spell check and cut and paste it to make sure it was right.
Yeah.
Corporate.
Very corporate.
Right.
I told you I'm corporate. I can't help it.
Yeah.
And so, but we had our first date July 1st. Well, we met at July 1st. We had a date like shortly after that, and then we were engaged by April, married by November.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's been a blessing. And
Won't he
regardless.
Yeah. He did.
Yeah, that's right.
And keeps doing it.
Keeps on. And regardless of the interesting part about that, regardless of, you being a pastor or us being in church or being around church, that's our story. That is us. So it doesn't matter if we're, here or the Breakfast Club. That's us. That's how we met. That's what happened. And that's where we are. So our foundation is critical.
Well,
And
before
that
you go to the
helps
Breakfast Club, you came here first.
Absolutely.
I just wanted that to Charlemagne,
Speak facts.
and all of y'all. I want you to know in the chronicles of YouTube history and podcasts, if you look them up,
We were here
it's going to be
first.
attached to me. I just wanted to, you can get me on Breakfast Club. I just want you to know first.
That's right.
The first
First.
was me.
First.
Anyhow, but you brought up something that I do want to touch on. I kind of ask every one that I've talked to this because we have a commonality as it relates to Christianity and church. Mm-hmm. How did you feel that your faith or your even upbringing shape not just who you are, but like the rooms that you go into? Because I'm saying, like, honestly, we've talked about people going to choirs, they go into, Tia sings, those of you who need her, she sings. So we go into choirs, people are deacons, ministers, ushers, Sunday school teachers. We've never had we talk about the gifts of the Spirit, but no one has taught people how to distill bourbon. And I don't remember that sermon series or that message where go ye therefore and make bourbon.
Wasn't there.
Baptize them in the name of distillery and honey malt.
Yeah.
I never. So I'm just saying that not in a a shade sense or anybody it was church, but I'm like, sometimes we don't do a good job of really helping to shape people or support them in things that don't look like what we've seen. So how has that, your upbringing and your experience, faith, helped to shape you and continue to lead you in these circles that you're in?
For us, I mean, really, it's just prayer. We're very prayerful about any room that we go into, any conversation we enter into. Before we do that, we pray. I do that a lot. I mean, when she's fussing at me and
It'll
going
make you
in
pray,
at
won't
me
it?
for whatever or
Won't it
something
make
I've
you
done
pray?
wrong, I hit her with a quick prayer. I get on my knees.
Father,
and just
right
say,
now.
"Hey, God,
Oh,
right now,
Jesus.
hey, God,
is the
she's
worst.
yours, God.
That
She's
is
yours. Help me, Lord.
worst.
Help me.
No, did you not say she's yours?
Oh, yeah.
That is
Like,
hilarious.
hey, help me, Lord.
Oh, I can't wait to use
Yes.
that.
Oh, right.
Oh,
Hold on. In the
Lord.
middle of a
He's wrong.
very fired up conversation. Oh yeah, I get on the knees. Oh
He
yeah,
does.
automatically.
That is
Yes.
And what can I do? All I can do is
hold on.
just
Yell at me while I'm praying. Yeah, you go on do that while I'm communicating with my Lord and Savior. Yeah, you go on fuss at me if you want to, but no.
All my TLs right now, look,
Yeah.
if that didn't just bless y'all, let me tell y'all something.
I'm
Y'all need a
telling
cash app and get a bourbon right now.
I'm telling you.
Listen, get on your knees and say she's
Right
yours.
there. Yes. Hey, Lord, help me. Because you gave her to me, but she belongs to you.
He is.
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh my
This
God.
has blessed my
He does
entire
that.
being.
Oh man, every husband.
So what do you
every
do?
relationship-
All I can do is come down. I mean, I can't because he's my Lord and Savior too. So.
Yes.
Do you get mad like, don't
Oh,
don't
yeah,
use
man.
Jesus on me?
Oh yeah, they tell God about me all the time. Him and Caden, like literally, I was fussing at Caden one day. I was getting at her good, and when we pray, because we pray as a family. What Caden said in her prayer?
We was praying. It was like, hey, and she'll turn to praying. She was like, Lord, help me and my daddy. My mama fusses, and just help us, Lord. Help us, Lord, to get through this time. Help her, Lord, to have a better, understanding
And I'm
spirit
over there
about us.
steaming, and
I
he's
was like,
crying.
I'm laughing because you can't do nothing to her. What, you gonna beat her while she praying? What, like, where they do that at? You better not. God take care of these kids, so you better. But
This
no, we.
has blessed my life. It has. This is the best podcast I've ever done.
Really? Yeah.
It is fun, but I'm saying you got to use it as a husband, in a relationship. You got to use it for real, because
I love it.
You got to.
I'm so sorry, but this has blessed so many houses.
Oh
No,
yeah,
like,
I'm telling you, automatically, yeah, on my knees and everything. I'll just stop. Hold on, let me pray. Lord help me. We're here.
I love it.
Yeah.
So you answered that. So
Yeah.
how has it shaped you in the same way, as your upbringing? I mean, because, okay, for you, say you already corporate.
Yes.
So I imagine, I'm not sure, but I mean, I'm trying to act like I don't know you, but you have a certain, you would probably maybe more rule oriented. Not rule, but like
Yes.
regimented, these are the
I
things
am.
or whatever.
I am.
So now taking your faith into
Yes.
these rooms that are not so much so, or don't even require faith to walk into them. How does that?
It's really shaking my world a little bit, I would say, because I am, Sean calls me, I'm a what do you call me? 4 squares? 4
L7.
L7. Because I'm so, that's just me. So it has definitely taken me out of my comfort zone, but in a good way, because I have learned to operate in a room where I would not typically have been comfortable, because in the bourbon industry, it's not only, not very many people that look like us, but not a lot of women. So I have become very confident in operating in a room, even when Sean is across the room and I'm having to hold conversations with people about our business or our brand or our mash bill, when he's not there. So it's taken me out of my comfort zone, but in a good way, because it's built my confidence that, I can operate in this space.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I have some what I call on the spot questions, even though, as y'all know, I have not submitted anything, done anything that I gave to y'all. So whatever y'all prepared didn't happen. So these are on the spot. This whole conversation has been fun. This is even more. So what is on your bucket list that you haven't done?
Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm going to Rodale Drive and spending $50,000.
Man,
She's yours, Lord.
she just spent my bucket list, so I guess that's our bucket list, because that's it right there.
It's
I want to
nothing.
go with
There's no more room in the
limitations.
bucket.
Just go
And it has to be 50,000.
Yeah, well, that's my cap. Now I may not spend that much, but I want to have.
But to have it,
ability
just to be able.
if I want
Bags,
to.
man, those purses, man. She's a big game hunter. Tia's like a big game hunter. like
Okay.
big game, and purses are the prey or whatever she's hunting for.
All right.
But and I know this might sound crazy, but I really cannot think of anything.
Okay.
You know, I really I think about it all the time. I guess there's nothing that I can think of right now that I really, really want to do that I have not done. And maybe, I mean, that'll change,
Yeah.
but, you know, nothing right now. There's
Okay.
nothing.
So we go to your car. What is playing?
Sirius XM. I go between the gospel station, smooth R&B, and 47. What's that? Hip hop.
Yeah,
Well, we-
90s. Yeah, 90s hip hop and
Okay.
R&B.
Yes, that's me.
Yeah. It's the same with me. I mean, usually Tia doesn't like to drive. If I'm around, I'm going to drive. So she's, you know, so we playing the same thing. We just switch between those channels, or, you know, we'll do the radio, you know.
Who would you like to meet that you haven't met that is either inspirational, aspirational, or whatever, that would also probably for a few seconds have you speechless?
Jill Scott, tweet.
Okay. That was quick. All right.
You know, I don't know. You know, maybe like, you know, entrepreneur wise, probably like Jay-Z or Puffy or something like that. You know, I like, you know, I think that would be cool.
Y'all have a drink.
Yeah, you know, brands, you know, that would be
Yeah.
inspirational, I think. I mean, they do stuff, change industries, things like that. You know, I like that.
That's good. Now, y'all might, well, okay. I don't know if I can ask this question because y'all have already done it. So maybe you can talk about it. Because those of you who are watching, I was going to ask them what their post-COVID trip was, but they've already been on a trip. So that doesn't apply.
We got some
So, well, I'm sure y'all have more. $50,000. I mean, a lot of different
Well,
things
that's
are
down the
happening.
road.
Yes. So I won't ask you that. So what is legacy to you?
I think, you know, for me, legacy is Tia and I's picture on our great grandkids' mantle. Like I mean, I don't know, maybe that's TV or whatever, but I want my great grandkids that I ain't never met, will never meet, to look at that fireplace and a portrait of me and Tia and say, "Hey, this came from them." We here because of some of the stuff they did. You know, that's legacy to me. You know, like a lot of that, like creating something that Chris Hudson, I work with Chris a lot, and creating something that'll outlive you. You know, that's awesome. You know, just that whole mentality, that whole thought process.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what it means to me.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Same for me.
Yeah.
It's something that our children's children will look back and say, my great grandparents did this for us. This is why we live like we do today.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Because of
looking
them.
forward to for y'all for legacy is, you know, when I was growing up, we would always have the afternoon services, and they would talk about church tea. I would just like for one afternoon service to bring it back, and they'd be like, "You talking about church tea, Fresh Bourbon?" Like afternoon service is going to be lit.
It's gonna be off the hook.
Like the deacons, like, "Come and go to that land."
That is crazy.
That's legacy to me. Just to, I mean, the guest preacher comes in and like, "This is the best afternoon service I have ever been in."
Everybody's coming back next time.
Well, they say we can't pay you for your services, but this is just a little token of appreciation. So I know this unyielding question. I mean, this is an obvious question, but what are you drinking at age 70?
We're drinking fresh bourbon. You know,
Fresh.
we like.
I'm gonna have a fresh cocktail. He's
Yeah.
gonna be drinking on the rocks.
Yeah, we're having fresh bourbon, and hopefully, if I'm able to indulge in a nice cigar, that would be great
Yeah.
as well. At the
A
time.
lot of things will be legal by that
So
point.
yeah.
And I have a fan moving the smoke away.
But no, that would be it. Yeah, that would be a good thing.
So I want to wrap up by having both of you, however, because as a black woman, a black man, first, as far as this particular industry is concerned, African American. There are people who are watching, people who are listening, who are aspirational in their dreams. They've not seen a template before, and want to, but don't know how to and don't know what that looks like. So what would you say to entrepreneurs, business owners, or dreamers, just to be like, all right, this is what that looks like?
I would just say go. That's the thing. Hit the go button so you can just get out there and do what you need to do. I mean, don't be reckless in it. There's ideas and things that you have to cover, and as far as your family and just incomes and things like that. But just go, just start it, just do what you need to do. Talk to as many people as you can, and create a kind of core circle. Find somebody that you can really, trust, and give them the idea that you're thinking about, and let them help you bridge the gap on where you are now and where you want to be. And I just think that's the essential piece of it, is to go and do it. And even in our businesses, from the cleaners to the construction company to the bourbon industry, everything accelerated once we found mentorship.
Absolutely.
Once we imparted into somebody, once they imparted into us their experiences and things that they've learned over the time, and we were willingly acceptable of that, the good and the bad. Like, hey, that ain't the way you do it, or this is the way you do it. You take it, and you got to listen, and you got to open yourself up and be submissive to that. And finding somebody, to do that with, for any dream or entrepreneur, whatever you're trying to do, is just go do that, and not think that, you know everything or whatever. And not to take up too much time, I was listening to T.D. Jakes the other day, and he was talking at a pastor's conference, and he said something so essential. He said that Jesus washed the disciples' feet after dinner. And he was telling them, he said, a lot of us in the ministry, but he was talking to leaders too. He said, a lot of the leaders, he said, see, that's where we getting it mixed up. See, we trying to serve before we eat. We trying to serve before we fed. So we haven't got fed yet. We don't even know everything, but we out here trying to do. So I'm like, I think take a step back. Don't think you know everything. Get out there, get in front of somebody who can feed you. Yeah. And then go do what you want to do, so that's my thing.
That's good.
That's blessed us.
Yeah, totally agreeing with him. And I would just say, don't allow fear or intimidation to keep you from your blessing. Really step out of your comfort zone and follow your dreams. I love a book. It's called The Dream Giver. And it talks
Bruce
about
Wilkinson.
Leaving the land of the familiar. And a lot of times it's difficult for us to leave the land of familiar because it's very comfortable there. You know how things are going to operate. You know how to be successful in the land of familiar, but you can't go to your next level until you leave the land of familiar. And that's my pearl. That's blessed me.
Yeah. Well, y'all have dropped some nuggets. Thank you both for being on this. You heard it first, not on the Breakfast Club, but on the Thinking Out Loud podcast. So all my TL family, thank y'all for being here, and thank you all. So we're going to have a shot of bourbon, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you again for tuning in. Remember to like, subscribe, or even rate this podcast wherever you're listening to it, or comment if you're watching this on YouTube. And remember to share it with whoever you know needs to hear it. Until next time, breathe in, be the best version that you can be. Everybody else is taken. And remember to embrace your own unique design. I promise you, somebody will. See you soon.